hello. Hello, hello. Hi, guys. How are you? I think YouTube's going to be slower today because I'm going live way later than normal. Reason for that is your girl over here went to bed at about, I want to say 6 a.m. It might be a little later than that. Hi, Ryan. Because I finished the edits to, oh my gosh, hi everyone. Hi Dave, hi Veronica, hi Kathleen, hi Annette. All of your messages came in all at once. Hi Anna. But so yeah, so basically, hi Dean. Basically, the reason why I went to bed so late is because I was uploading and finishing edits on the video, on the Tork interview. Now the video is fully complete and it's out and it's uploaded, but it's in private mode right now because I'm still waiting on the approval. It was like a last minute change that they decided that they want to see it first, or rather at least read the transcript, which I've sent to them before. So hi Mariana. So I will be releasing them. I will be releasing it the second that happens. However, it has been released on Patreon already. So if you're a member of Patreon, then there is a link and you can see the video through the link. So it's almost like a private, in movie theaters before the movie airs, sometimes you will be able to go to the first original showing with like an exclusive ticket, and it's going to be a little premiere where only the select few are invited. So that's kind of how you can see the link on Patreon. If you're a member of Patreon, then the link is there. Then the link is there, and you guys are able to see it. If you have if you guys are a member of Patreon, then I highly suggest you go watch the video. There are two things. One is the video is up, and two is sort of questions, suggestions, things like that. Questions, suggestions, things like that I would like to find out from you, because I would really, really love to. I would really, really love to know what you liked, what you disliked. Hi, Taz. Hi, Gap. What you liked, what you disliked, and sort of like, questions, suggestions for the future. Hi, Natlin. Hello, hello. Okay, so that was that on the Torque video. I will tell you, this is absolutely the most difficult, time-consuming editing job I have ever done. Hi, Rusted. I literally have never, ever in my life done something that took nearly as much time in terms of like video production and editing and stuff like that. Before this, genuinely, I was going to bed at about 5 or 6 in the morning, 4 days leading up to yesterday. It's so difficult because there is the voiceover that needs to be there is a voiceover in which Matt did an incredible job, but Matt doesn't speak Russian. Matt doesn't know the intonations of words. It's harder for Matt to sort of, do it in the same pattern of speech and the same speed as like Tork is speaking, because, Matt doesn't speak Russian, right? And and so we had to do this, like, I want to say 3-hour call where I had to like walk Matt through what each one of the sentences was, with which sort of like tempo and intonation he's saying, like what is his mood and emotions behind it, and things like that. I think Matt did a fantastic job. Also, I had to cut this voiceover in a bunch of parts and spread it through the video so it would match up the speed better. I had to record my own voiceover. And you know what? I thought that this was going to be the easiest part, because I have to voice over my own speech with my own pattern of speech and with my own like voice, right? And then I realized that it's the most difficult part because I can't really portray the same emotions as I had when I was asking him these questions because I already know the answers. And so I had to sit there and I had to be like, okay, Yulia, okay, like this is what you felt when you were asking it. This was your intention. Come on, don't over dramatize it. And I was just, it was like the worst. And then cutting it up all together, sort of like uh, putting it all together, sticking it all together, all of the animations, all of the things like that. Oh, yeah, and so it was a lot. I will say part of me enjoyed the process, part of me hated it. I have 3 more of this coming up, and I think most of the interviews that I'm going to be doing are going to have the same sort of situation, because they'll all need a voiceover. And I'm thinking about it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really hope this channel gets monetized sometime sooner than later so I can use that for a video editor and for someone who knows what they're doing, because I really don't, and I cannot keep consuming like 4 days of my life till 6 in the morning. But with that said, I'm very happy with how the video ended up. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you really liked Tork. I hope that it was useful for you to hear what he was saying. I think, hi Matt. Oh, this is the man, the myth, the legend, Matthew. If you're on TikTok, you'll be able to see him. He is the voice behind the English speaking Tork. Hi Armin. But yes, so I think that overall I'm very happy with what came out of this video. I think I was a little bit, actually I do have a question. You know how, for those of you who did watch it, there is a moment in which I'm asking, why did these guys go through literal hell, right? And what prompted them to, and stuff like that. And there is this little animation of a certain someone peeking out from different corners, and I was really worried that that would take away from the seriousness and professionalism of the video. And so I'm wondering if you guys thought it was distracting, if you guys found it unprofessional, if you thought that it takes away from the severity of like the problem, or whether it was helpful to you as like an illustrative example of like, because for me it wasn't necessarily for like a joke. It's just that I'm so tired of like naming this man everywhere that I figured I don't necessarily want to like spend time talking about him. I'm just gonna sort of like insert him over there. How much longer before you get monetized? Well, I really don't know. I submitted my monetization request about a month ago. Usually it takes them a week to a month to review the monetization request. They haven't. So I'm just going to email them tonight, explain the situation to them, and say that I really want to use the monetization costs from this video to give to like for charity, not for charity, but like for Tork's apartment fund. So yeah. So there is that. But yeah, please let me know how you felt about that little moment with, with a certain someone peeking out from different corners of the video, and whether you found that it was taking away from the video itself or not. So yes, basically, if you'd like to watch the video before everybody else does, it already is. Why not with subtitles? What do you mean? Hi, pacifist. What do you mean, why not with subtitles? Hi, Kimmy. So basically, what I was gonna say is that if you want to watch the video already, then it's available on Patreon. The lowest level of subscription is $10 a month. So if you'd like to sign up, I would really appreciate every single one of you for doing that. $10 goes a very long way and helps me, be able to bring the news and interviews and videos to you with the same, I guess, speed, quality, and with the same speed, quality, and dedication as as they have been. So if you'd like to, Patreon is Spy News Network INTL. It's available in my TikTok link in bio. It's available in my Twitter link in bio. It's available in my Instagram link in bio, and it's also available in my About section on YouTube and Twitch. Now, also, so for and to Pacifist, who is asking why not just subtitles? Well, so a lot of people actually, subtitles to me are a little outdated in terms of translations from one language to another, because so let's say you're driving and you want to watch this video, and you're not going to be able to watch. Oh, thank you, Netlin. Thank you so much. You're not going to be able to watch the video while driving because you're going to have to read subtitles and you don't speak the original language. But if it has a voiceover on it, you can like listen to the video while you're driving, because you don't have to watch it. You can just listen to what we're saying. I think that a voiceover is so much more superior to subtitles. I think it also gives a lot more. It gives a lot more. It gives you opportunity to engage with a video in a lot more situations than just to sort of like watch it, right? So there is obviously going to be subtitles. They're probably going to be YouTube generated. I'm going to come in and edit them a little bit, because I know they're going to butcher like Azov. They're going to butcher Azovstal. Hi, Kaka. They're going to butcher all of these names. But yeah. So there is that. Okay, well, yeah, it's easier to consume the information 100%. So with all of that said, Nordstream 2 and Nordstream 1, there was a giant leak about 100 meters long at Nordstream 2. Hi, Vasily. And it has been said to have been potential sabotage. And hi, Jammer. It has been said to have been a potential sabotage. Some of the things that point to it being a sabotage by Russians in order to cut Europe off is one, first of all, there were 2 leaks, one at Nord Stream 1 and one at Nord Stream 2, so both pipelines. Then they were within 24 hours of each other, so that's no coincidence. 2, there have been explosions reported at both sites. And 3, Russian propagandists are promptly blaming Ukraine and the United States. So it's very, very evident here that all of the components to how this is unfolding are pointing to Russia's involvement and are pointing to a Russian sabotage. Also, Russian Gazprom, which is their gas, it used to be their gas giant. It used to be their gas giant, but now I can't necessarily call it a gas giant because, well, it's been sanctioned by everybody and their mother. It's been sanctioned by everybody and their mother, and so it's not a giant anymore. But I guess Russia's main gas company is threatening to sanction Ukraine's main gas company, Naftogaz. Slava Ukraini. Almost. Instead of the last letter, it's supposed to be an I. But yeah, you did such a good job, Bumpy. Oh my gosh. How would Russia benefit? Russia is just cutting off energy from the EU. It makes no sense that the US would do it, and the US wouldn't benefit either, because Europe wouldn't be benefiting, and then the US is going to have to, hi Angela, thank you, is going to have to thank you, Angela, is going to have to help Europe get gas from somewhere else. Russia has been doing gas and nuclear blackmail for the entire duration of this war, so there is literally no So there is no reason for the EU and for the West as a collective to do anything to the Nord Stream pipeline. They already sanctioned it, and they're already cutting up the amounts of gas that every different country in Europe is allowed to buy from Russia. So there is no point, for the US to blow up either one of the Nord Streams. This is propaganda, and I'm pretty sure you're a troll, but I'm going to elaborate on it anyway, because there are people who might have a similar opinion, or people who might not know enough, or something like that. So the US would not benefit from blowing up either one of the Nord Streams. Neither would Europe. They have already sanctioned Nord Streams, and they really don't need to blow them up to shut them down. That would make no sense. Also, a gas leak into the Baltic Sea creates an incredible danger to the sea life, to the marine life around it. And that will create food shortages if there is like fish living there. That will create a lot of different natural disasters that you don't even start thinking about it. 1, 2, that creates all of these problems for the Baltics. The Baltics who are in NATO, the Baltics who are in EU, and the Baltics who have been allied with Ukraine and the US. That would hurt primarily them. So there is absolutely no reason for the US to do any of that. Neither is there for Europe, nor is there for Ukraine. And yes, there is a lot of reason for Russia to sabotage the gas pipeline. It's not the first time in history that they've done that. Blown up their own pipeline, caused a leak on their own pipeline. Look at history. That's been a normal thing for them for gas blackmail. So yeah, it does smell like Russia. And another thing is, Russian propagandists do not immediately blame Ukraine or the West, or not immediately throw blame onto someone if there is no reason for it. Because if they actually thought that it was the West, then they would be quiet about it, and they would be figuring out what else the West can do. The only reason for the US is that now Europe can buy from anywhere else, so no reason to negotiate. That is here's the thing. Do you not understand how gas transfers work? Do you not understand how gas transfers work? First of all, Europe is buying from countries that are closer to Europe. Okay? They're not going to be able to buy gas from us. They're not going to be able to buy gas from Latin America. Okay? Because there is no pipeline to facilitate that. You get that, right? Right? And you don't work in energy industry because you are evidently showing that you don't know how that works. Thank you, Mariana. So please don't I love that trolls, every time they try to prove a point, they say that they work in a relevant field. And then they say stuff that clearly points to them not having any idea of how any of this works, and they just give themselves away. That's too funny. That is absolutely too funny. Yes, I do know how it works. Evidently, you don't. What about tanker ships? Evidently, of course, it takes longer to get it. Yes, for sure, but also the amounts are very different. The time frame is very different. And there is Azerbaijan with oil. There is Norway with oil. Thank you so much. There are so many other places to buy. With gas. So to buy it from, especially Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan has so much gas and oil. Azerbaijan is like, in the past 10 years, had become one of the most beautiful, most developed countries in that part of the world because of how much oil and gas they have that they can sell. And now that Russia's going to be cut off, they're going to be like the place number one to go. So no, the US doesn't benefit from it at all, unless, you know, there is a conspiracy that the US has a crazy deal with Azerbaijan, and Azerbaijan is, I don't know, like blackmailing the US. But like, can we stop? Can we stop with all of the conspiracies? Oi. Okay. Scholz has tried to get gas from the Emirates. Fluent gas, it is possible, but he got a no, as far as I know. Well, the Emirates are difficult because the Emirates are not as friendly as other countries are, and the Emirates are kind of, you know, Russian side. Hi, Walasi. Yeah, exactly. When you will attack Azerbaijan and take everything from them? I don't know. I'm Ukrainian. I've never attacked Azerbaijan. Neither have we ever attacked anyone, to be fair. Oy. Dems to make electric for half of Europe. Oh, hi. Hi, Zhenya. So it happened to the pipeline. He's trying to create the narrative that Russia is being attacked. Yeah, of course. I mean, so here's the thing. Crazy Cat here says it's Putin's false flags again. That's what happened to the pipeline. He's trying to create the narrative that Russia is being attacked. It is part of it, for sure. Russia has been trying to like create that narrative for a while now, and with the mobilization, with the referendums, with the annexation of territories, now they're going to be saying that they are being attacked by Ukraine on their legally annexed territories. Hi, Juju, and that now this is justified. Also, on Russian news, on Russian propaganda news, they have been instructed on how to call the mobilization. And the mobilization on Russian propaganda news is now called the People's War Against NATO. So the entire mobilization is being explained to the Russian people today as NATO is attacking Russia, and NATO is preparing to attack Russian territories through Ukraine. And then this entire war is just sort of a distraction to then come and take the actual Russian land. So not just, not the territories that they wanted to annex, right? But like actual Russian land. And so that's how they're trying to motivate people to go fight for Russia. And that's what their reasoning now is. But it's now the People's War Against NATO. Okay? So the entirety of the narrative is being built up specifically to pose it as if this is all NATO's and the US is doing. And so the pipeline serves two purposes: one, to feed into that narrative; two, to punish Europe and cut them off from gas. So there is a lot that's sort of going on there. The whole like rhetoric inside of Russia is that NATO has been trying to destroy Russia for this entire time, and now they're going to come for the Russian land, and they're going to come for the Russian people, and they're going to westernize the Russian people, with all of the LGBTQIA things, because they're so scared of LGBTQIA plus community in Russia. So there's just a lot of story building there that's supposed to make it look like this war is not the war between Russia and Ukraine. This war is not Russia attacking Ukraine. This war has been NATO all along, and it's about ultimately getting Russian territories and Russian people. So yeah. So that's that. And all of these scenarios are basically all just playing into that narrative. And that narrative is being really, really widespread. Also, speaking of, European countries or soon to be European countries in like some foreseeable future, Russia has brought in mobile military commissariats to the border with Georgia. So because so many people are fleeing to Georgia from Russia because they don't want to get killed on the front lines, Russia has now and they're fleeing. Hi, Australia. They're fleeing. Russia has no control over it, sort of. So what they decided to do in order to prevent that from happening and in order to be able to mobilize more people, they have now brought mobile military commissariats to the border with Georgia. And you can't even make this up. This is like straight out of some really dark satirical like comedy. So Russian men are fleeing mobilization. Mobilization comes for Russian men. Ah. I find it really funny that they do that. They're just like, oh, you want to leave Russia for Georgia because you don't want to die on the front lines. Hi, truthful. You don't want to die on front lines. Well, too bad. We have portable military commissariats, and we are going to conscript you straight at the border. Also, a lot of the men who have been mobilized on the 21st are already on the front lines of Ukraine. Ukraine has basically had some prisoners of war already who came to the front lines after the mobilization on the 21st, which is 6 days ago. So they had no training. They have no supplies, they have no armor, they have no anything. Also, I found a video yesterday that I really want to show you, sort of to basically not prove to you, but demonstrate to you that Russian army has always been the way it is. And by that, I mean, it's always been horrible. It's always been understaffed. It's always been inexperienced. It's always been not trained. So this video is going to be in Russian, but the pictures are going to explain everything to you. This girl is from Georgia, and she's talking about Abkhazia in 2008. So some Russian person says, Georgian, huh? What did you forget 2008 or what? When Russia came basically and took over Abkhazia and Ossetia. But so she goes, oh, don't worry. I did not forget anything. It's so hard to forget. And she shows all of the like ridiculous stuff that Russian troops were doing in Georgia. And so I will show you, and I will try to like comment on it as we go, because it's going to be hard. Well, if you don't speak Russian, you're not going to understand. But basically, they were doing the same stuff they were doing in Ukraine. So stealing toilets, stealing washing machines and stuff like that. And they've always been like it. So this image that the West had of like Russia being so powerful, like, no, they've always been like this.
Я как воровали наш Газов, конечно, запомню. А как же можно это забыть? Ну да, мародеры у вас классные, конечно. Они даже вилок у нас спиздили.
So they stole forks. She says they even stole forks. And in this video, the person is asking, where'd you get a fork?
И, кстати, если вы не заметили, на них было найти это грузинские формы. Они их тоже спиздили.
And so they're wearing Georgian uniforms that they stole because their uniforms had no armor. And so this is what she's talking about. She's like, if you didn't notice, they're also wearing Georgian uniforms. They also stole them, but I can't blame them because their uniforms are garbage.
Потому что их послали воевать без бронежилетов.
They didn't have bulletproof vests.
Если честно, я как-то советую вам, потому что вот у вас такие творческие люди. У нас в Грузии их
That's
так
what they
много.
stole too.
Помню ли я, как вот этот вот чел впервые увидел телевизор?
Look at how happy he
Конечно
is
же,
stealing
помню.
this TV.
И эти парни тоже молодцы, вот стулья несут домой. Прямо русские народные герои, аж мурашки пошли по коже. И помню ли я, как ваши убегали из войны? Конечно же помню, как же можно это забыть? А
And
чё
that's
мы
them
бежали-то?
fleeing.
Мы только разогревались, как бы. Шутки в сторону.
So yeah, basically, the only reason that this was like demi-successful is because Georgia had a small army, but the Russians were really they had a run for their money in Georgia. But yeah, but they didn't have armor, they didn't have bulletproof vests, they did not have forks. They were stealing forks from households. So fun. Also, there were incredibly horrendous things found in Georgia at that time as the atrocities that the Russian army has committed. So it's always been the same. It's always been the same awfulness. It's always been the same principles. It's always been the same violations of human rights. It's just nobody paid attention before. So yeah, that's Russia for you. The strong mother Russia. The strong mother Russia. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive into the news for Ukraine today. Also, we're starting off strong straight with a video from Ukraine now, which I'm going to play on TikTok, on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, yes. and then I'm also going to show it here, but it's probably going to be better visible on there. So if you'd like to watch the videos, I would highly recommend that you watch one of the government platforms because it's just much easier that way. And also, instead of propping it up, because I'm not using my thing today, I'm going to do this. And you guys can see it better. Okay, video file. It's just a good motivational video, as in gives you some good feeling to sort of see Ukrainian military in high morale and showing progress. On September 24th, the Ukrainian flag once again flew over Manhattan, raised on the flagpole in the historic Bowling Green Park in support of Ukraine in its war against the Russian terrorist invaders. Take a look. Well, Ukraine always has good morale, David, because we're fighting for our own land, for our own people, for our culture, for our existence, so it's hard not to have morale there. The Russian invaders brought extras to the referendum at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in Energoatom. The Russian military staged another show near the Zaporizhzhia NPP by posing invited extras as nuclear plant personnel. In particular, a large group of men in civilian clothes waited until the end of work shift at the plant and mingled with its staff who were leaving after their shift. On the way out, the crowd gave interviews to propaganda media, shouted words of support for the Russian Federation, and then went to the bus where the voting was held and demonstratively filled out the ballots. It's I genuinely, at this point, I understand that they're doing this for people in Russia, not really for the world like believe them, but not really to believe them, but it's, I don't understand how they believe that anybody is going to believe them at this point. Russian propaganda scheme is even falling apart within Russia at this point. They're trying to find reasons of why they're trying to like hang the mobilization issues onto different people and sort of find a person responsible to blame it on, so that people are not as mad, and it's not working. Basically, they're kind of losing their grip with Russian like zombified, brainwashed people too, which is interesting. You are watching too much MSM. Honey, I would say please go do whatever it is you need to do before you get mobilized and before a mobile conscription automobile comes for you, because it is very не за горами уже тебе, чувак. So I would say, before you comment something about what I watch too much of, think about the thing that at least I can choose what to watch. And soon you will be watching the HIMARS destroying your unit on the front lines, because Russia is mobilizing everyone they can. And trust me, the trollops are going to be first to go. Anyways. Oh, and by the way, Russian trolls, they will tell you that your job is safe. When you come back, when you don't, your job is going to be waiting for you. So don't you worry there. Hi, Just Ed. Kathleen, that's so sweet. Kathleen on YouTube says, our town put up blue and yellow ribbons on all our main street. That's so nice. That's so good to hear. That's so sweet. The results of Saturday's shelling of Zaporizhia. On the night of September 25th, 26th, a Russian missile hit a residential area, killing one person and injuring 9 others. A fire broke out in the destroyed house. Its residents were accommodated in a kindergarten. That's what it looks like. Hi, Loyalty. Good to see you. Get the job. In a certain way, Russia has already stopped using its high-precision missiles, such as Caliber, Iskander, and KH-101. These missiles have a warhead from 400 kilograms. Дякую, Alena. These missiles have a warhead from 400 kilograms and cost millions of dollars, said Yuri Ignat, a spokesperson of the Ukrainian Air Force. He does not rule out that the Russian Federation has prepared these missiles for strikes on critical infrastructure in the autumn and winter, and in the meantime has seen a way out in the much cheaper Iranian kamikaze drones. The Moscow Exchange Index fell below 2,000 points for the first time since the beginning of a full-scale war. The stock market is falling amid pseudo-referendums in the occupied territories of Ukraine and news of mobilization in the Russian Federation. I mean, surprising? No. The American weekly Time magazine showed a new cover of its new issue dedicated to Valery Zaluzhny. He is the general of the he's the general of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. So he is the commander-in-chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. This is him. And he is the man, well, not just him, but he is the man in charge of the Ukrainian victories so far. And he has been on the cover of the Time magazine. And this issue says, The General, Valery Zaluzhny and the Ukrainian Way of War by Simon Schuster and Vera Bergengruen. Or Bergengruen. That's an interesting last name. That's a new one. I actually really want to buy that one. I really want to buy this this issue of the Time. I really want to have that. Kharkiv marmot forecaster Tumko was able to survive the occupation. He, along with 30 other marmots, lived all this time in the village of Nasterivka, Kupiansky district. There were 2 caretakers who watched the animals and fed them. The main weather forecaster in Ukraine. Groundhog. Also, guys, for those of you who have been waiting to find out, what name my mom gave to the dog. So my mom named the dog yesterday without actually asking me whether that name translates into something in English. And so we had to rename the dog today after my mom had found out that fart. So fart in Ukrainian and Russian means luck, fart, fartovый, lucky. Okay, so my mom decided to call the dog Lucky in Ukrainian without knowing that fart in English means exactly what it means. And so she calls me today and she's like, I got it, look. And she starts screaming fart while running around the apartment. And I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? And she was like, oh, I named him Fart. Isn't it such a good name? And I'm like, Mom. So I had to explain it to her. And she was like, are you sure? Are you sure? And I'm like, yes, Mom. I am positive. I am positive that that's what it means. So now she had named him Finik, which in both Ukrainian and Russian means a date, but I mean like a date as in food, you know. So so the reason why I like that name is because you can call him Finya, so that makes it Sinya, my Sini, and Finya, and so it rhymes. And and my so pacifist on YouTube says, I bet he actually farts. So that's the funniest thing, because my mom was like, I mean, that is really accurate, but that's horrifying. And I'm like, yes. So I was having a lot of fun. But yeah, she has had some very strange names. I guess her like options also were Lychee. She wanted to call him Lychee, and I was like, no. I personally prefer Finnick. I think it's a very cute name, and like Finny and Cinny, Finya and Sinya, you know. So I definitely like Finnick much more than I like fart. My mom was so funny about it too. She was literally like, but I tried to look it up. I tried to Google it and see if it means anything in another language, and it didn't show anything. And I'm like, Mom, fart in English, it is what it is. And she was like, well, how do you spell that? Maybe it's like a different spelling that just sounds the same way. I'm like, Mom, it's F-A-R-T, fart. Yes, you called your dog after like a gas problem in your stomach that comes out of you. Can we just please just, can we just move on from this name and find something else? Yeah. She was so upset. She was so incredibly upset. She's like, I thought that I'm done. I thought that I found the name. I thought everything's gonna be okay. I'm like, Mom, no. We're not keeping this. I'm like, how do you suppose I'm supposed to tell the entirety of the internet that you named your dog Fart? And she was like, okay, fine, no. I'm like, thanks. Also, why would you call him Fart? That's like, that's setting him for a very interesting situation, that's basically kind of trying to predict your future with his name. So yeah. Okay, well, Here is a very pretty video of Kyiv. And it says, Ukrainian Kyiv, it will be peaceful again. And so it will be. And it's not a long video, but I want to show it to you full screen because Kyiv is beautiful and it deserves to be shown like that. I mean, to be fair, all Ukrainian cities are gorgeous. But I don't know. I think it makes much more sense to show it to you full screen. So this is a short little video that shows you Kyiv. Kyiv is a beautiful city. Honestly, I sort of want to show you Lviv. You know what? Now my Lviv self is like, we can't give Kyiv all of the arsenalnaya. We can give Kyiv all of the all of the credit, provided that I'm a Lvivianka. So I'm gonna have to show you bird's eye view of Lviv as well, because how dare they only show you Kyiv? Let's see if I can find. This looks pretty.
At the 75th
This looks like a good video. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, so many Ukrainian cities look gorgeous, but we're going to do them one by one. Maybe, you know what? Every stream, I'll find you. You know what? Every stream, I'll try to find you a different city that I can show you. That's going to be
anniversary event at Raymore and Flanagan. Save on 75 pieces perfect for every room in your home. Or buy now and pay later with special financing. Takes 75 months to pay with no interest. Only at Raymore and Flanagan.
It's my life. 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 It's It's my life. 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 It's my life.
I think what we're gonna start doing is we're gonna start watching videos of what Ukraine looks like from like bird's eye view and other places. On every stream, I'll show you a different city or a different place, so you guys can see a little more of Ukraine. Ukraine's victory in the war will not be final, said Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Valery Zaluzhny. Knowing what I know firsthand about the Russians, our victory will not be final. Our victory will provide an opportunity to take a breath and prepare for the next war with Russia. What he's trying to say by that is that Russia is going to keep attacking and Russia is going to keep trying to come and take our territories. But if Russia collapses, which there is a very big chance of that, of the republic separating of people, of sort of like Russia completely collapse, Russia falling apart because of financial issues, then we don't have to worry about that. At this stage, the U.S. authorities do not see any signs of Russia preparing to use nuclear weapons, said White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. Also, one of the reasons why Valery Zaluzhny is saying that is because he wants to explain to the world that unless Russia, well, if Russia stays in the same condition in which it is right now, then we have to be prepared for another attack. I think that what he's trying to say and what he's trying to the precedent he's trying to set by that is he's trying to say that we're going to need weapons, we're going to need training, and we're going to need support, and first and foremost, we're going to need NATO accession. That's sort of the mood that he's trying to set, and he's not wrong. He's not wrong that Russia is going to attack again unless Russia falls apart. Mykolaiv came under heavy fire twice during the night. Residential buildings and stores in different parts of the city were damaged. The Russians also fired rockets at infrastructure facilities in Zaporizhia and fired about 90 shells over the Dnipropetrovsk region. According to Podolyak, the necessary reserves have already been created in Ukraine through the territorial defense system, so no additional mobilization will be announced for today. Against the backdrop of Russian referendums and mobilization, the Netherlands promised to increase military support for Ukraine. The US Congress has reached a preliminary agreement to provide Ukraine with $12 billion, Reuters report. In the temporarily occupied Crimea, now this is super important and really screwed up. In the temporarily occupied Crimea, there are cases when summons are issued to disabled people and cancer patients. So in Bakhchisarai, a cancer patient and a person in a wheelchair received a summons. Also, the mobilization process continues en masse among the villagers. Summons are issued at checkpoints. And also a lot, hi Dan, and also a lot of these summons are meant from Crimean Tatars. Yesterday, I translated and reposted a tweet from this girl who is Ukrainian and Crimean Tatar. So she's Ukrainian Kirimli. She's half and half. She fled Crimea after the invasion of Crimea. She is young. She's in her early 20s. And she posted a tweet saying, Imagine you're half Ukrainian and half Kirimli. Kirimli is Crimean Tatar. Imagine Russia is conducting a genocide on both of your ethnos simultaneously. Now, I don't have to imagine. And I thought it was an incredibly powerful, um, sorry, you have strong American accent. You must be indoctrinated by CIA. Honey, how dare you blow up my cover? I'm sorry. Now, can we do a course in which you explain to me a little more how I can look like I am not indoctrinated by the CIA? Because really, that blows up my reputation very much. And I think since you came in and said that, a lot of people who are on the stream are now not going to watch me because they now know the truth. And so now I have to build a completely different image. And I would love for you to coach me on how to look a little more, a little less CIA. I will miss the paycheck. I will. Well, I mean, to be fair, no, I won't because they still haven't paid me. But how good is the salary in the Russian troll world? О Боже, це що? Це як карикатура тролів. У мене є така... Мені дуже подобається російський голос імітувати, російський акцент імітувати. Okay, so what I was saying earlier is you have to go underground now. Where is my accent? I don't know. So I woke up this morning, and it was gone. I think this is a CIA chip that they put in me. That's how it happens. Hi, Lucky Skill. I think that CIA just like puts a chip in you, and you just automatically, become American because they pay you, so you need to sound American enough. And so this morning I woke up, and right after I signed the contract with the CIA, the accent, it like disappeared. I swear, it's magical. I've never seen anything like that before. So cool. So like this morning I was speaking like this, and then, or rather, I was speaking like this yesterday, and then I woke up this morning and I'm now talking like that. And trust me, really, nothing has changed except the contract with the CIA. These CIA chips, these microchips these days, fantastic. How the vaccination went in Ukraine? I don't know because I did not get vaccinated in Ukraine. I got vaccinated in the United States by the CIA with a microchip, so I wouldn't know. Doom 95, yeah. Well, it's see ADHD. ADHD on TikTok says microchip has an accent on it. My vaccine only gave me Doom 95. Well, that's because it wasn't the CIA who vaccinated you. But it's like if you let the CIA vaccinate you, then it would have been different. But you didn't. That was your mistake. Okay. Gas from Russia's Nordstream2 gas pipeline has leaked into the Baltic Sea. Denmark urged vessels to stay away from the island of Bornholm within a radius of 5 nautical miles. Thank you, Melissa. There are crazy people who will actually believe that microchip stuff. I mean, yeah, but if those people who will believe that I actually received a microchip through a vaccine through CIA, I mean, I'd rather them believe it and stay away from me. I don't want them on my streams anyway. The Ukrainian military liberated the village of Pisky-Radkivsky in the Izum district of the Kharkiv region. Hi, Jeff. Good to see you. The Ukrainian armed forces continue clearing the village and demining, and sometimes they find groups of Russian soldiers. However, local officials have already been able to go there and distribute humanitarian aid to the villagers. The video shows the school in this village. Also, there is this one comment on Twitch that I absolutely love, and I'm going to read it right after right after this video. But it is fantastic. I love it. One second. Okay, so Bam359 on Twitch says the accent feature only works when you're within a range of 5G cellular towers. Honey bunny, what do you mean 5G? 5G is 2000 and late. For CIA, it is 10G now. It is Starlink from Elon Musk. It is satellite service. The accent works everywhere. It's like you, regular human beings without the CIA chip, sure. 5G service, 5G towers, 5G doesn't even work on every network, yes. In me, it is ingrained inside. I am the cell service tower myself now. I exhume the cell service. So wherever I go, internet goes with me, cell service goes with me. I no longer need a phone. I no longer need anything. To be fair, I'm superhuman. Anyways, the Russian military has completely closed the occupied part of the Kherson region to entry and exit, says General Staff. Let's see. Oh. Oh, the Russian military has completely closed off the occupied part of the Kherson region to entry and exit, which that is scary news because well, not necessarily scary. They're trying to contain everybody within Kherson because they see that the Ukrainian military is approaching. And it is quite obvious that the more restrictive measures they put in, the more restrictive measures they apply, the more things they do in that regard, the more scared they are of the fact that the military is approaching and the fact that the front line is changing. So on the one hand, it might sound kind of like, terrifying. It might sound like things are getting worse, but realistically, if they're closing Kherson, occupied parts of Kherson region to entry and exit, that means they're trying to contain the people and they're trying to get as many people as possible to help aid them in their defense, because they foresee the front line changing, and that means the Ukrainian military is approaching closer and closer. The United States sees no signs of China preparing to help Putin, according to CNN. A spokesman for the U.S. Department of State, Ned Price, added that it's not even a question of efforts to help Russia systematically evade sanctions. China is moving away from Russia. India is moving away from Russia. Today, North Korea said that they did not collaborate with Russia on anything and did not send them anything. And the reason why they're saying that is because North Korea, thank you, Lauren, wants to be in alliance with China. And they don't want to screw that up by a partnership or a potential partnership with Russia. So they're moving away from Russia too. I mean, in layman's terms, without too much elegancy or anything like that, if a dictatorship is moving away from you, such as North Korea, if you can't even hold on to North Korea, if North Korea deems you unworthy, a low-precision Smerch rocket landed in the center of Mykolaiv at night. This is a pure terror of the civilian population, emphasizes the head of the regional military administration, Vitaly Kim. The minister of... Here is a video, actually, of that, so you can see.
Сьогодні вночі вчергово російські окупанти поцілили однією ракет просто в центр міста Миколаїв. На відео ви бачите наслідки руйнації на одній з центральних частин міста. Інформації щодо постраждалих не надходило. Тим не менше, ви можете спостерігати зруйновані приватні крамниці, магазини, триває усунення наслідків нічного обстрілу. Сьогодні
The Minister of Europe and Foreign Affairs of France, Catherine Colonna, has arrived in Ukraine. Good morning, Ukraine. It's good to be back in Kyiv, she wrote on Twitter. On the morning of September 27th, the Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs reported that a mobilization point would be deployed at the Verkhny Lars checkpoint on the border with Georgia. Recall that satellite images for September 25th showed a large traffic jam at this checkpoint. This is what I was talking about earlier. So Russians are now, Russians flee mobilization, mobilization comes to Russians. This is basically how they operate, and this is basically how things happen. And there is nothing they can do about it. I find it so funny that they quite literally stalk their people to the border. They so want to conscript them, and they so need people, and they're so desperate that they're putting mobile military commissariats at the border with Georgia. I mean, if that doesn't smell like grave despair to you, I don't know what does. Also, have you noticed that there are less trolls these days? May I suggest that a lot of them might have been drafted and conscripted, because I personally have seen less trolls. And that warms my heart. That warms my heart because in the beginning of this invasion, and more so about 3 months ago, I started telling the trolls every time they would show up and try to be smartassy that they should enjoy the moment until they get conscripted, because it's evidently going to happen. It's evidently going to happen because, how can it not when Russia runs out of bodies? And provided that they have no other skill useful to Russia, they're just going to throw them onto the front lines. And it seems to me like some of them had already been deployed. Well, if you are watching me from the front lines, enjoy Ukraine while you can. It's a beautiful country, isn't it? More beautiful with sunflowers growing. And you can be, being Heroyam Slava. Being it's crazy. And really, wait. There is a question that I don't necessarily understand. 1 second. It's crazy. I'm from Finland and really against Russia in this war, but was it that also in Ukraine that means could not exit the country? Yes, Ukraine is under martial law. Under martial law, when your country gets attacked and wartime is proclaimed, no man can leave the country. However, in Ukraine, we were not conscripting disabled. We were not conscripting people who are not suited for the military. We were not conscripting people who are not suited for the front lines. We were, yes, men cannot leave, and that's a normal thing for martial law. Now, Russia is not under martial law. Russia denies there being a war. We do not stalk our people to the border. We do not do any of that, first of all. Second of all, our draft does not include like minorities from minority regions first in order to commit a genocide. Second of all, it does not include 65-year-olds. Third of all, it comes in different waves, and most suitable people are conscripted first. And then if there is a need for a reserve, then they're going to be conscripted more. But the thing is, martial law is super normal for a country who has been attacked and a country who is at war. That's not something weird. Yes, Ukraine has martial law. Yes, men can't leave. but we do not come into people's houses and yank them out. We do not like come into schools while they pick up their kids and yank them out. First off, second off, Ukraine had so many volunteers that we didn't even have to invoke the martial law and invoke the draft as much as like we could have. So it's really not the same, but general mobilization during martial law is completely normal. It's like that in every country because you never know how many men you're gonna need, and you can't let men leave the country. Also, in Ukraine, if you are a man with a disability, if you have a white ticket, which means that you're ineligible for military service, if you are a sole provider for a family, if you are a father of more than 3, then you are excused from that. There are rules. There are rules that will that basically excuse you from the draft, and they're not done in a way in which it's done in Russia, where people are where like military is quite literally stalking you to the border and not letting you leave. And that's how it's done in a civilized place. You have rules, you have regulations, and through these rules and regulations, you impose a martial law. But also in Ukraine, most men are not like trying to flee the country. Like my dad is under the age of 60 and he applies to the draft category. And my dad is in Ukraine and he understands that it's okay. Obviously, he would rather not be in the front lines because he has no military service, but also he would not be thrown onto the front lines. We would not throw our conscripts onto the front lines. We have been getting them ready for months and months on end. The draft started 7 months ago. And most of these guys are still not on the front lines. They're still in training. So it's a completely different situation, and please don't compare it because that's like black and white here. Completely like two different extremes of shades of what's going on. Okay. Armin comes in with a quote again. So Armin on YouTube always sends a quote every day, and they're always very relevant, and I always really enjoy those quotes, so I'm going to read it to you today again. And it says, Thomas Paine wrote, "Those who expect to reap the blessings of freedom must undergo the fatigue of supporting it. If Russians want freedom and peace, they must do more than dancing in circles." Yes, that's what I was talking about yesterday. The ethnic Russians in Moscow are literally just dancing in circles in Moscow and St. Petersburg as a protest against the war. And that's really funny to me because that does not work in the dictatorship. You know, Dagestani women have more balls than Russian men, and Dagestani women have more understanding of what a protest is than your average ethnic Russian citizen. Because in a dictatorship, dancing in a circle is not going to change anything. Dancing in a circle is their form of protesting against their dictatorial regime. And then Russians say, well, we tried, but nothing's helping us and nothing's happening. Well, maybe instead of dancing in a circle, you should probably do something more serious than that. Okay. British intelligence states that during an address before both chambers of the Russian parliament on Friday, September 30th, Russian President Vladimir Putin may announce the annexation of Ukrainian territories occupied by the Russian army. Because of course, you know, those territories voted to be in Russia, and it wasn't all people that were brought in from Russia to pretend like they're Ukrainian and all that stuff. But it's interesting to me that Russia is using this as a strategy to say, look, well, now Ukraine is attacking our land, because it's kind of an awkward situation. First of all, they're trying to annex certain regions, of which not every part of the region is Russian occupied, and some of the regions are being actively liberated. So no matter whether they say it is Russia or it isn't Russia, it's never going to be internationally recognized as Russia, one. Two, it's never going to change anything. If they're doing it in order to make Russian people more motivated to fight for these territories because they're now Russia, that's not going to motivate them. They don't want to die for some random territories of Ukraine. If they were coming free and if they were coming easy, of course they'd take them. But they're not going to go die for like random places in Ukraine that have nothing to do with them, right? If they are doing this sort of to justify, attacking Ukraine, then that also doesn't really work as an excuse because these are not Russian territories, no matter whether you annex them with fake referendums or not. That is not going to justify it in the world arena ever. That is not going to justify it to Ukraine. And also, it's a little awkward that you do that because, again, most of the states that you're trying to annex are actively being liberated, and a lot of the parts of those states are not occupied by Russia and haven't been, like Zaporizhia. So there is a lot going on there that just sort of makes no sense, and I think that it's one of Russia's last like desperate attempts to change the course of this war. But I think that in reality, what it's going to do is it's going to only make it worse for them. It's only going to weaken the Putin's regime, and it's only going to make Russian conscripts much angrier at them because they're going to be dying for territories that they quite literally don't care about. Russia struck the recently liberated Kupiansk in the Kharkiv region with missiles. There were no military facilities there. 5 people are hospitalized. In Kazakhstan, oh, sorry, this one. Wait, Crazy Cat, the draft isn't going well in Kazakhstan? Kazakhstan is not Russia. Kazakhstan is not Russia. Kazakhstan is a separate country. There is no draft for Russia in Kazakhstan. Also, one second, my dog is like going crazy at her paw. I need to, one sec. I literally just saw her paw entirely in her mouth. I'm sorry. Cindy. Please stop. Show me what. Sin, it's not even red. What are you doing with it? Sin. No, Cindy, stop it, baby, Sin. You can't just eat your paw like that. No, here. No, Cindy, I love you, but no, please stop that. Sorry, my dog has allergies. And I keep healing them, but she keeps licking them. And so it's like, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And so I need to keep an eye on that. But I'm confused as to why she's literally chewing at her paw if it's not even red anymore. And it doesn't look like like there is the allergy anymore because I've been giving her meds and stuff like that. So it's quite strange. Okay. Mykolaiv came under heavy fire twice during the night. The mayor of Mykolaiv showed the consequences of the night bombardment of the city center. Oh yeah, also there are my dog emotes. Tatarstan, it might be what you, yeah, Crazy Cat, Tatarstan it might be what you were talking about. Tatarstan is part of Russia. It's a republic within Russia. Yeah, well, there are Cine emotes on Twitch, Lauren, but I don't know. I think they're also for the subscription, so I don't know. Oh, okay. New Zealand announced financial and travel sanctions against 19 new members of Putin's inner circle. At the same time, the country's government stated that it could not provide further military assistance as it did not have anything that Ukraine wanted. The Minister of Defense, Penny Hanare, said New Zealand stood ready to provide further lethal aid if Ukraine needs matched its stockpiles. But Kyiv is not under fire anymore. Kyiv hasn't been under fire in a while, Ramulan, but Kyiv has been having daily air raid sirens and daily air raid and daily like danger of strikes. All of Ukraine does not sleep sound. Like my mom lives in Lviv, Western Ukraine, and she's very often sitting under her stairs between two walls because there is an air raid. Japan's consul was detained in Russia. He's accused of espionage. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Japan said that Russia detention of the Japanese consul was extremely regrettable and unacceptable. It's interesting that Russia is trying to like go after Japan now too, because Japan was never going to be Russia's ally because of the Kuril Islands and because of the Second World War, but it's interesting that they at this point are trying to really just make themselves persona non grata and a pariah absolutely everywhere in the world. Like they're ruining their chances of any sort of semblance of a relationship with everyone. So I don't really know what's the point of detaining the Japanese consul, because that is not going to help Russia in any way. That is not going to really grant them anything other than just another country having it really, really out for them and having it in their personal interest to push further and to pressure further and to use their influence and power with other allies to destroy Russia. So I really like at this point, this is just stupid. Like I can really see how Russians are panicking and how they're doing stuff just out of literally the things that come to their head without really trying for anything. Without even like trying to analyze anything and just sort of like, oh, we can do this. We're just going to do this. And like, it's, hot-headed decisions. Because before their decisions were stupid, they're not smart, but they weren't necessarily hot-headed. Now we can just see this chaos and mess because they are freaking out. They're panicking. They're just doing whatever it is to just really to like show their last attempts at like, we're powerful. We can do this. Someone is asking me on TikTok, what would you advise them to do? Nothing. I'm not going to advise Russians to do anything. I advise them to get out on the streets and overturn their government if they ever want to have a normal life. But yeah, maybe they should stop being zombies, and maybe they should exit their zombie apocalypse and they should revolt. But I mean, really revolt, because anytime, I'm not going to go into the speech of why Russian protests are not accomplishing anything, not because it's a dictatorship, but because Russia doesn't know how to protest and Russians are spineless and Russians come out to a protest against the dictator's regime and dance in a circle and think that that's going to accomplish something. And when it doesn't, they're like, oh my God, we can't protest. Protests don't do anything. So what the only people that I have faith in Russia, and I think that those are the people who are actually going to accomplish the regime change, are Russian minorities. Because as we have seen in Dagestan, quite literally, the Dagestani women have more willpower, have more balls, and have more bravery than your average Russian man. And Dagestani women came out and they blocked the streets. They wouldn't let the military trucks through. They wouldn't let like conscription commissariats through. Like they did something. And I mean, like, I don't give it a lot of credit as a Ukrainian because it wasn't against the war. It was against the mobilization. But what I do give credit to is the fact that they actually that actually accomplishes something. So what I would suggest Russians to do is, I don't know, turn on Winter and Fire, see how people actually protest against a dictatorship, understand that freedom doesn't come free, that you're going to have to go on sacrifices, that you're not going to come out unscarred from this, and that you have to be prepared to be injured. You have to be prepared to be hurt. You have to be prepared to die. Okay, because that's just what it is. In a dictatorship, you cannot come out with a piece of paper that says I don't want war and think that it's going to work. You know it won't. So do not waste your effort. So I would say that that is my suggestion. If you'd like to hear a longer speech on this and a longer speech on what I think about Russians protesting and why it's not working, and why they're never going to accomplish anything if they don't change their strategy and if they don't change their thinking, then watch my previous not the stream from yesterday, the stream from before yesterday. I believe it's saved on YouTube, it's saved on Twitch, and there is a speech sort of that I did that was aimed at a Russian person who asked me basically like, oh, so what are we supposed to do? We don't have an opposition leader. And so it kind of, it ticked me off. And so I went on to explain to them what I think, and that is available, saved on my channel if you want to watch it. And I think I don't think it really encompasses everything that I think. And I think it gives you a little bit of an insight into why Russian protests that we've seen so far are like bullshit. Okay, Kazakhstan will extradite citizens wanted by the Russian Federation for evading mobilization if they are declared wanted. Minister of the Internal Affairs of Kazakhstan, Marat Ahmedjanov. That's what I was saying. Kazakhstan is like doing something very smart. They're not helping Russia at all. They don't want more Russians living in Kazakhstan at all, but they're not declaring it like that. They're not being like, oh, we're going to deny you entry. No. They're just saying, hey, we're going to help Russian authorities invoke the rule of law. We don't want to go against the law. I've said that before. I think that Kazakhstan is doing a very smart thing here. They're basically sticking with the West. They're going against Russia. They're not helping Russia. They're stepping away from Russia. And with that, they're doing the nicest thought through Russian deportation scheme from their country. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to extradite everybody who's wanted for mobilization. If you're a Russian citizen and you've been living in Kazakhstan, gotcha. It's just the law. We're just law-abiding country, The Kremlin is trying to shift the blame for violations during the mobilization of local officials, but they are too massive for people to believe it. Heroям slava. It is about the fact that the criteria for mobilization and exemptions are failed to abide in Russia. In particular, people who are significantly older than the upper age limit declared by the authorities or who have never served in the military at all are called up to war. Institute for the Study of War notes that the authorities have begun to shift the blame for this onto the failing bureaucratic institutions responsible for the mobilization. Local authorities and military registration and enlistment offices through the controlled media. So Russians, how they work. They said that it's partial mobilization and it's only going to be people who have served before. And then it was like absolutely anyone. And so now they're trying to pretend like the reason for that is that it was just like a bureaucratic failure. But of course, Russian people don't believe that because they know that they were obviously you can see when somebody shows up in a military commissariat and they show you a doctor's note or like their diagnosis is a cancer patient or they don't, or they're disabled or something and you still force them to go, this is not like a mistake. It's deliberate. When they come to your house and they wait for you to show up at home, it's not a mistake. When they yeet you out of your house, it's not a mistake. So I think that what Russia is doing through all of these lies is that it's so deep in its own lies and propaganda. They are digging themselves a grave at this point because Russian people at this point have had it. I mean, not that I care about what, an average Russian, but they have had it. And they're not going to believe any of this, because at this point, it's like, even if you're zombified by the TV, you still see what's happening in front of you. And now your ass is on the line, and it's about you dying in the front line. So you're not going to believe that as easily. The air defense of the armed forces of Ukraine destroyed all 3 Shahed 136 kamikaze drones that attacked the Mykolaiv region on the morning of September 27th. The air defense of the armed forces of Ukraine destroyed all 3... French investigators have arrived in Ukraine to help investigate the crimes of the Russian invaders in the Izum district of the Kharkiv region. It's actually interesting because Ukraine has been investigating these crimes, and Ukraine has already put out a lot of investigation materials about it. And it's funny to me how all of these countries are like, well, no, we have to see it first to believe it. Meanwhile, there has been so much evidence. The Ukrainian military liberated Kupiansk-Vuzlovy, which is a large railway junction, from the Russians. The head of the Kharkiv Regional Military Administration, Oleksandr Hubov, confirmed the Russians occupied the village from the first hours of the full-scale attack. Currently, the armed forces of Ukraine fully control it. Why is Nightbot still active? Squirrel, are you here? Also, gosh, Nightbot. Oh my god, Nightbot is very funny. Nightbot is very funny. Why is it still active? That, Nightbot thing is so annoying. Sorry. Turkish Airlines has canceled flights to Minsk, Sochi, Rostov, and Yekaterinburg until the end of the year. So we have talked about it multiple times. Turkey is stepping away too, because Turkey is scared of being sanctioned by the United States. The Russian military stole toilets from the Nova Poshta post office in the Kharkiv region, where they were occupying it for a while, and Ukraine has liberated it recently. So one of the things in the branch of the post office that's missing is a toilet. Sin? Hi, babes. What's up? Hello. Hello. Hi, Cindy. What you doing? Cindy. Hi, baby. What's up? Что тут происходит? Well, I don't know. Hang around and find out. Germany suspects that gas leaks on the Nordstream pipeline were the result of a sabotage, Tagesspiegel reports. There are 2 leaks on Nordstream 1, one in Swedish economic zone and one in Danish economic zone. They are very near each other. Although now Ukraine does not need additional mobilization after defeating the Russian Federation, we will be forced to prepare for a new war if Russia does not give up its nuclear weapons and claims to the status of an empire. Military expert Petro Chernik said on air of Radio NV. That's what I was saying earlier, is that, I think that realistically, Russia is once it's defeated, there is going to be a lot more in the chain of the dominoes falling that's going to lead to Russia's collapse. And so they're not going to be able to attack. But if that's not going to happen, then one of the reasons why he's talking about it already is because, the world is like, oh my gosh, Ukraine's winning. The second that Ukraine wins, they're safe now. Nothing bad's going to be happening and we can all breathe out. But the thing is, that's not true, because Russia is going to attack again unless Russia really collapses. So he's saying that because he wants to set a precedent for the West not relax, for the West to know that Ukraine is still going to need help. Ukraine is still going to need weapons. That defeating Russia does not take the danger away from Ukraine, because Russia is just going to come back and Russia is just going to do what it always does again. Also, here is a video from Ukraine now that I want to play for you guys. yeah, so that's that. Mass exodus of young men flocking to neighboring countries, probably not good overall for the Russian economy long term. I mean, like, okay, the people with a semblance of education who are good in the tech field have fled Russia a long time ago. So, you know, Russia's bright minds are already not in Russia. The people who are fleeing right now are not only young people, they're also old people. They're men between the ages of like 30 and 50, because those are the ones that are going to be forcefully conscripted. Do you think China sees Russia as a liability? Yes, I 100% think that China sees Russia as a liability. And I think that what Russia doesn't understand is that they have made themselves another problem, and that's China. Because China now sees exactly how weak Russia is and how little Russia is capable of doing. And China likes some Russian territory. China would love to gain a little more territory with its population. Come on. And the fact that China now sees that Russian military is garbage, Russia is going to drown in the sanctions, Russian economy is going to drown in the sanctions, they're going to face so much that it's interesting to me that China is not only moving away from Russia, and that's very evident with all of their political maneuvering, with how China now very, very much so is like, no, we have nothing to do with this. They're not helping Russia. I think at this point, for China only acts in Chinese interests, right? And especially in their economic interests. They have nothing to gain from Russia. Russia needs China. China does not need Russia. And not only does China now understand that they have nothing to gain from Russia, from a partnership with Russia, they also see that Russia is weak. So if I were Russia, I'd be so goddamn scared, because China now can do whatever it is that China wants with Russia. The Russian Orthodox Church continues to try to replace the Christian idea of martyrdom with the idea of religious terrorism. Patriarch Kirill, who previously convinced his parishioners that death in war would remove their sins, now directly calls on Russians to join the partial mobilization. The Danish military has published a video from the gas leak at Nordstream. The leak occurred in the Baltic Sea. Previously, the width of the spot was several hundred meters. Take a look. Will Japan get their islands back? No one knows, but if Russia collapses economically and otherwise, then yes, there is a very good chance that they're going to get their islands back. Belarus prepares to receive military trains from Russia, Belarusian Gayun. As for now, they are checking places of loading, unloading at railway stations with the involvement of officials of the Belge Department and the commandant's offices of the VOSO, Military Communications Service of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation, carrying out repairs of loading and unloading platforms if necessary, as well as preparing car entrances to places of loading and unloading at stations. Gazprom threatened Naftogaz of Ukraine, Ukrainian oil and gas company, with sanctions. They propose a ban on official transactions in connection with the proceedings initiated by the NAC in the International Court of Arbitration. After Gazprom's statements, the cost of gas in Europe rose to $2,000 per 1,000 cubic meters. So they're trying to artificially inflate the cost of gas, basically, is what they're doing. That is what this is aimed at, because obviously now that Europe started carrying less, the price of gas in Russia, from Russia, has fallen down anyway. So they have to do something about it, and these are their attempts at artificially inflating the cost of gas. Because if you remember, a lot of gas is going to Europe through Ukraine. And if they sanction Ukraine, that's going to be an issue. But, oh well. I don't think it's going to work nearly as much as Russia thinks it's going to work. Meta blocked a network of Russian bots and so here's the thing. Let me elaborate on that. The reason why it's not going to work as much as Russia thinks it's going to work is because Europe has just about had it with Russia. And the more things like that and the more tricks like that they pull, which they consider blackmail, right? The less Europe is willing to trust them or want to have any business with them. They are just setting their status of an international pariah in stone. So Meta blocked a network of Russian bots and a separate network of accounts managed from China. The Russian network promoted pro-Kremlin narratives about the war unleashed by the Russian Federation in Ukraine. It includes thousands of accounts in various social networks. That's nice. Can TikTok be next to do that? Poland and Denmark open a new pipeline to transport Norwegian gas, TVN24. Baltic Pipe is one of the main projects of the Polish government to ensure energy security and complete independence of Poland from Russian gas. So see, here's the thing. Europe is going to start building other connections. Also, Ukraine has the biggest amount of natural gas reserves after Russia in the world. So once we liberate our territory, we are going to be able to provide gas to Europe. Also, specifically, we already have pipelines to do that. So there is not even a reason to go through Russia. And that is what Russia was very, very scared of too. When there were natural gas reserves that were found out in Ukraine, Russia was like, oh, hell no. Because people would rather buy gas from adequate Ukraine than from inadequate Russia. First aid kit of the paramedic of the Russian army. So not even a soldier, a regular soldier, a paramedic. Here is what that looks like. Look at this first aid kit. All of this stuff is molded. It's completely molded. It's not usable. It looks like it was gathered in World War II, which it most likely was. Using this stuff is only going to infect your wound further, not help you by any means. The Bulgarian Foreign Ministry asked citizens to urgently leave the territory of the Russian Federation using all possible modes of transport due to the increasingly difficult situation. Hi, Danon. Ukrainian flag over the sign of the village Ridkodub, Donetsk region. So another village has been liberated in Donetsk region. About 800 Azov defenders remained in captivity of the Russian Federation. Olha Kravchenko, head of the Department for Work with Prisoners of Azov. Among them are more than 40 women, some of whom are pregnant. We saw in almost 90% of released prisoners the extreme stage of anorexia, moral and psychological exhaustion. So this is something that I'm aiming to help facilitate, is a lot more notoriety for the fact that there are still over 700, about 800 prisoners of war in Russian captivity from Azov regiment alone. And the thing is that Russians tend to torture Azov the most because they are the neo-Nazis, right? They are the problem. They are what started it, even though they didn't. And so what I'm aiming to do with these interviews that I'm releasing on YouTube, predominantly with Tork and hopefully with Wikipedia and hopefully with other people, well, Wikipedia, we will see, because it depends on whether he wants to give me an interview or not. But point is that I really, really, really want to keep the attention span going, because a lot of prisoners of war who were online famous from Azov specifically have been released in this last exchange. And so I feel like people are just going to stop pushing for it, and people are going to stop paying attention to it because, well, they don't even know. Did you know that there are still 800 Azov servicemen in Russian captivity? Did you know there are still 2,005 together? I bet you didn't, because the people don't, right? And all of the ones that made like international like virality, they have been released. And so it's essential and it's crucial that we keep talking about it. Also, to all of you guys who are new here today, I filmed an interview with a heroic Azovstal defender who who is from Mariupol, had gone through Mariupol, the siege of Mariupol, had gone through the siege of Azovstal, was in Russian captivity, was exchanged back onto Ukrainian-controlled territory this summer. And he's telling us a lot. He's telling us about his service in Azov, why he joined Azov. He's going to talk about tattoos, what Russians consider Nazi tattoos, whether he has some Nazi tattoos, or whether they're just regular tattoos. And that video was supposed to come out late yesterday night, but I was asked to hold off on it until Azov General Command reviews it. And so it has been uploaded. It's in private mode. And for those of you who are members of my Patreon, which is Spy News Network INTL, it's connected in my About on Twitch and YouTube, but in link in bio everywhere else. It's the lowest tier is $10 a month, and you will have full access to the interview. You will also have quotes from the interview before the second part of the four parts airs. You're also going to have some quotes that you're not going to see in the interview from them because they were off record. So if you're interested in watching that interview before everybody else can, it's already out on Patreon, and it's available for those of you who are signed up. And every $10 and every one of your subscriptions goes a very long way, and I really appreciate it. It is encouraged, but obviously not, don't feel pressured. So yeah, if you'd like to check out Patreon, there is a lot of information that you're not going to get anywhere else on it. And I really hope that you enjoy the information that I put out on Patreon. And also, I have a second crush with Tork Veronica. Yeah, Tork is one charming guy. NATO Secretary General convenes an emergency meeting of the Alliance's Board of Directors. At the meeting, Jens Stoltenberg urged all NATO members to replenish their stockpiles of weapons. The United States does not object to the use of Western weapons by Kyiv against regions that, after referenda, may become part of the Russian Federation, said U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. Oh, really? Because I thought you would object to us targeting our own territory to return it. That's a useless statement, but oh well. Friends will fully support the new package of EU sanctions, which is being prepared in response to the so-called referendums held by Russia, Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna said. The United States is ready to support the investigation of European partners in the case of a gas leak through the Russian Nordstream, said Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. App Store removed Russian apps Vkontakte, VK Music, Messengers, and Mail. So, interesting. So that means that most likely my super old VK account is removed too. Okay, and this is a video from Ukraine now that I'm going to show you. It's short and sweet, and it's the last thing that I have for you for today. So provided that we finished a little earlier than normal, I'm happy to stay and answer questions, stuff like that. And then I'm willing to go sometime soon because my dog really wants a walkie. And who am I to, prevent my dog from a walkie? I think this is it. I think this is the one that we haven't seen. Okay, wait, what? Share screen, sorry. No, oh my God, what is going on here? I'm sorry. I'm having some technical difficulties. Okay, here, open. Okay, 1 second. So there is a delivery of my food to my apartment. So let me go grab that really quick, and I'll be back in a second. Cindy, entertain people maybe a little bit. Do something, Sina. Do something. Sit. No, come here. Sit. Слава Україні. Слава нації. Пиздець Російській Федерації. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl, City. Okay. So, questions, suggestions, anything I can answer for you guys? Well, that statement, so Res 7 here says, Russia is imperialistic, but USA is the same shit. We're just pawns between two superpowers. Well, that statement is incorrect in itself because Russia is not a superpower. Also, let me go grab the food because I can hear that the guy is here. Cindy, wait. No, Cindy, wait. I'm not bringing it. Oh my gosh, I can find it. I'll grab another treat. Jesus, Cindy. Jesus. Cindy, babes, what's up? What's up, little one? What's up? Okay, Cindy. Sorry, guys. Okay, we're back. Alrighty, so anything you guys want to ask? Do you know the origin of the Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava slogan? Yes. 1 second. I will show you a video. Actually, I have a TikTok channel, for those of you who don't know, where I post a lot of useful information. And I am going to show you, because I answer a lot of these questions like that, and I post a lot of very, 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 very useful stuff on there. Let me find you that video. And you can, the reason why I want to show you that video specifically is because you will find that on my TikTok, you will be able to find a lot of information like that and a lot of answers to information like that. So, okay.
Hi, it's beautiful weather in the East Coast
Oh,
of the US today, and I wanted to talk about the phrase Slava Ukraini and where it came from. So the iconic phrase that you must have heard so many times has become an official salute of the armed forces since 2018. It is also our national salute. It is known as the symbol of sovereignty and resistance. Some nationalist groups have adopted that phrase in the 1930s, and therefore a lot of people like to say that it is for vendetta. However, he didn't come up with the phrase, he just used it. The phrase was completely forbidden and discredited in the Red Union,
Soviet
wink,
Union.
wink, and we couldn't use it. So it resurfaced back after the fall of the Red Union, and it was even used by Bill Clinton in 1995 to support our country. It was widely revived again in 2014 to support our armed forces for doing so much to bring independence and bright future to our country. Hope you enjoy this information. Have a good day. Hi.
It's a wartime motto that roughly originated, I want to say, when the Russian Empire was invading us, because we wanted to stay free. And so it's a wartime motto that we use. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. So it's glory to its heroes. Alrighty, guys. Cindy really wants a walkie, so I need to go provide. I will see you later tonight, most likely. I know I didn't really go live yesterday. I had a lot to do. And I will try to be a little more available today. But I do have a lot of work to do still. Oh. So yeah. Thank you, guys. See you later. Oh, hi, Joe. Good to see you. I didn't notice that you were there. Hi. Alrighty. Bye, guys. See you tomorrow or later tonight.